All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Board of Public Works, and please rise as you're able for the posting of colors.
Forward, march. Detail. Halt. Order. Up. Ready. Cut. Shoulder. Up. Ready. Cut. Present. Arms. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Out. Ready. Cut. Port. Out. March in 5. Ready. Step. Detail. Halt. Ready. Two. Ready. Two. Ready. Two. Ready. Two. Ready. Two. Colors.
All right, we have 3 items on tonight's agenda. The first being the approval of the minutes from September 23rd.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose? Motion carries. Item number 2 is the ordinance creating section 8.145, maintenance of right-of-way of chapter 8, Public Works of the Municipal Code. Yeah, Ian?
So this ordinance, the purpose of it is to essentially codify what has been happening for, 75 plus years within the city. It was brought to our attention that the code did not otherwise contain the specific provisions for maintaining the terrace area in the right-of-way. There is already provisions in right next to this in the code for snow removal. So this is establishing the provisions pretty similar to the snow removal provisions for maintaining the terrace area in the right-of-way.
All right, thank you, Ian. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose? Motion carries. Item number 3, approval of grant of privilege agreements with a presentation by Max Marshall. Max?
Good evening. Thank you. I come to you tonight in front of you with recommendation to approve 2 grant of privilege for 2 properties along 8th Avenue, one at 235 North 8th Avenue and one at 225 North 8th Avenue. They both requested to reinstall carriage walks within the street right-of-way, carriage walks that were removed during the reconstruction of 8th Avenue. And you've seen grant of privileges for other carriage walks in front of other properties due to this reconstruction project or elsewhere in the city where property owners have requested them. So it's pretty much a template agreement that we have to define ownership, maintenance responsibilities, and liabilities for those items in the public right-of-way.
All right, thanks, Max. Any questions for Max?
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose, motion carries. Thanks,
Thank
Max. And with no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Robbie. When everyone gets settled, we'll call to order the Common Council and welcome a couple of new police officers to the team. I would like to call the City of West Bend Common Council for Monday, October 21st, 2019 to order and recognize that we do have a quorum of all 8 aldermen here this evening. Items number 1 and 2 are oaths of office for Police Officer Nathan Gosha and then oath of office for Police Officer Trevor Gatz. Nathan's first.
Please raise your right hand. I, Nathan L. Gosha,
I, Nathan L. Gosha,
having been appointed as police officer
having been appointed as police officer
in the city of West Bend,
in the city of West Bend,
Washington County,
Washington County,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of Wisconsin,
of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of said office
the duties of said
to
office
the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Again, Nathan's badge on, just briefly introduce them to the community. He's a graduate of Appleton East High School. He attended Fox Valley Technical School in Appleton, where he received his associate degree, and he completed his state-required 720-hour basic recruit school, graduating a week ago Friday. Privileged to attend his graduation. Welcome, Nathan. And the mayor has your certificate of appointment.
Congratulations.
Raise your right hand. I, Trevor J. Bass,
I, Trevor J. Gates,
having been appointed as police officer
have been appointed as police officer
in the city of West Bend,
in the city of West Bend,
Washington County,
Washington County,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of Wisconsin,
of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of said office
the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Trevor's badge on, introduce him. He's a graduate of Mid-State Central High School in Illinois. Just so you know, before we hired him, we asked him some very important questions. Packers or Bears? He answered that question correctly. Packers are fighting Illini, and he Trevor is a graduate of UW Stevens Point, where he received a bachelor's degree, and he attended Mid-Central State Technical School. Not too bad. And, welcome. I've also been a member of the Army Reserve for the last 5 years. Thank you for that service and welcome.
Sorry, I goofed up your name.
Gates. Sorry about the pronunciation. Good job. Congratulations once again, Officers Gosha and Gates. Welcome aboard. And with that, I will recess the Common Council meeting over to the Licensing Board, which I'll call to order. And recognize that we do have 8 items on tonight's agenda. Starting off with item number 1, Licensing Board, approval of the minutes of the Licensing Board from October 7th, 2019.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 2 is an original Class A combination liquor license for GPM Southeast LLC, our store number 4505 at 1229 South Main Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 3 is an original Class A combination liquor license for GPM Southeast LLC, our store number 4506, located at 1211 West Washington Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is an original Class A combination liquor license for GPM Southeast LLC, our store number 4507 at 1512 West Washington Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 5 is an original Class A combination liquor license for GPM Southeast LLC, our store 4508 at 1650 North Main Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 6 is an original Class B combination liquor license for Wisconsin Apple LLC, Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar at 2510 West Washington Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 9 is an operator's license for Tracy Sauer, and we have a presentation tonight by City of West Bend Police Chief Ken Moyler. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening again. Police Department recommends denial of this license based upon an incident in June of 2017 in which police were at Ms. Sauer's residence. She was extremely intoxicated. Officers actually responded to a call to assist her. She struck one officer. She kicked a second officer. She was taken into custody. After taken into custody, officers found prescription pills on her, which she did not have a prescription for. She also had other drug paraphernalia she had used to smoke crack cocaine. She was charged with, or arrested for resisting an officer, possession of controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, along with battery to police officer and resisting an officer. In a plea agreement, she pled guilty to the battery to law enforcement and resisting an officer, and the other charges were read in. For those offenses, we recommend denial of this license.
Thanks, Chief. Is Ms. Sauer here tonight? If you have anything to say, feel free to step up to the microphone. Let us know who you are and why we should consider something in the Chief's recommendation.
Good evening, I'm Tracy Sauer. Since that incident 2 years ago, I have maintained sobriety. I do speaker meetings at AA and NA meetings. I completed probation and parole successfully. Just trying to get, my life together. I'm on disability, trying to maintain a job. I do have a liquor license in the town of Sherman, where I was working at Sicko on Highway 57 in Random Lake. So I do reside a liquor license from there. So I'm just, I believe in second chances for people, and people do change. And I have done a complete 100% change around. And I just, wish you'd give me a second chance here. So thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Just so you know, regardless of what the licensing board decides right now, it's a recommendation to the council, which meets right after this. So there's actually 2 votes on this decision. Any questions from the licensing board for the chief? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion on the item.
Motion to deny.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 8 is approve operators licenses, and the list is in our packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. And there being no further business before the licensing board, I adjourn and like to reconvene the City of West Bend Common Council for Monday, October 21st, 2019. And jump ahead to item number 3 under public hearings is a public hearing regarding levying special assessments for the downtown West Bend Business Improvement District, and a presentation tonight by Mr. Gitter. Good evening.
Good evening. On January 1st, 2001, the Downtown Business Improvement District was created. Since then, every year you have a resolution adopting the operating plan and the budget, and that is in your packet. With me today, you have also the bid board president who'd like to say a couple of words during the public hearing.
Good evening, Mike.
Hi, Mike Huzar, bid president. Just want to give you a quick update on some of the things that we've done in the past. As you know, we've been pretty active, meeting every month and really kind of doing a lot of stuff. I don't know what happened to the mic. There we go. It's things are starting to really shape up downtown. Just in the last couple months, the key things that I'd really like to hit on is we've been putting money away for rainy day fund, and 2 months ago we committed to $125,000 to the west side of the river. And we also have announced today that I was able to secure money to do a huge holiday light display downtown in the amount of about $100,000. We're going to be doing a tree lighting on November 7th. It's basically going to totally transform Settlers Park into a Christmas wonderland. What we're being told is it's probably going to be the biggest display in Wisconsin. So we're really proud of being able to bring that forward and all the other things that we've been able to do downtown. So appreciate you guys supporting the bid and letting us continue to move forward with what we're hoping to do in the future. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Mike? I would just like to say for the public's knowledge, for those folks that may not know, that the bid is a geographic designation generally in the downtown area, and those business owners and building owners choose to tax themselves extra, and stop me if I'm incorrect, Mike, you guys choose to tax yourselves extra with those dollars staying in that downtown geographic area. So from the mayor's office and from my personal standing as a citizen, thank you guys for choosing to tax yourselves extra, and thank you for doing the great things that you are doing downtown. It's definitely making a difference.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? John?
Yeah, I want to echo the mayor. A few years ago, downtown was pretty much
starting to become a ghost town, and now we've really, with your support and help, you have definitely made downtown a booming place again, and compliments you, and thank you for all the work you have put into it. I'm really happy to see downtown really start to grow again.
Well, it's only the beginning, we hope.
I basically was just going to say the same thing. You guys really transformed the downtown into something that's turning out and going to be amazing in the end. And, you know, all the businesses getting together and doing what they're doing, I think is amazing. So continue that. I know it's appreciated by the citizens. And I guess with that, I would make a motion to approve.
Any other comments or questions, Justice?
I just wanted to ditto on that and then accentuate. I saw the proposal for the holiday display, and that's going to be something incredible. It's really going to be cool.
Hopefully all of you will come to it.
Before we take action on that motion, is there anyone else from the public that would like to address the public hearing? If not, we need a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. And then, Steve, if you're interested in motion to level the special assessment for the downtown West Bend Business Improvement District.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Thanks again, Mike. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of the Common Council dating back to October 7th, 2019.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections in the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Items 5 through 10 are under the consent agenda and can be taken together.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 12 is under items for consideration, is operator's license for Tracy Sauer. who is just
Motion
here
to
in the
deny.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments on that? Chris?
Just a quick comment that I wish Ms. Sauer would have stayed. We always appreciate when applicants actually have the kudos to come here and take questions from us, and it's just a shame we weren't able to have that opportunity.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 13 is an ordinance creating section 8.145, maintenance of right-of-way of Chapter 8, Public Works of the Municipal Code.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 14 is approved taxi service Title VI program. Presentation today by Doug Newman. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm presenting the city's Title VI policy. The Title VI policy is a city's adopted policy to prevent discrimination in reference to the city's taxi service. It also determines how and if we receive a complaint, how that's handled once it's received. The Title VI policy is required by the Federal Transit Administration in order to receive federal grant funding for our taxi service. The only changes we had were the contact information, changing J as the contact from the last one in 2016. So we are seeking approval to adopt this updated policy.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions for Doug?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 16. Oh, excuse me, item 15 is a resolution.
We did 15.
14 was approved the taxi service, right?
Yeah.
15 is the special assessment for the bid.
Yep.
You had Steve do that right after public hearing, after the public hearing.
Oh, I was saving time. Now we're upside down. Item 16 is review the 2020 budget. Jay, are you running us through that?
I'm going to start, and Carrie is here as well. If there are questions of Carrie Winklebauer, she'll pop up to the podium and help answer them. If you scroll, if you have your packets open, if you scroll all the way to the last page, page 169 of the packet tonight, shows the changes that we made as per the finance committee's recommendation after the last council meeting 2 weeks ago. The top section under Revenues General Fund, you'll see the addition of a line item entitled Transfer from Fund Balance in the amount of $151,100. Again, this is our best estimate of the amount of money that would be needed to maintain that 779. We are still waiting on the apportionment numbers from the other taxing entities, so that number could move a bit, or we could keep that number and move the contingency item within the next section. You can see the contingency is proposed at $28,928. So we would move that accordingly, that $28,000 as the apportionment numbers. We'll keep the $151,100 if that's the direction of the council. Scrolling on further down through the public notice, which we're scheduled again to post in the next couple of days, you see the general tax levy under taxing funds. General line item has gone down from $15,784,032 to this proposal, which is $151,100 less, down to $15,632,932, which is included in your packet. Again, the net result of change to take it from 779 and maintain the 779 number. We were talking about a percent increase in the past of 1.68%, and this shows a 0.98% increase in the total levy. That's really it as far as introductions are concerned. I've had conversations with most of the aldermen one-on-one in the past week, and certainly would attempt to answer questions that you might have, and Carrie and staff are here as well.
Thank you, Jay. Any questions for Jay? Justice?
Well, I know I don't support, and you already know that I don't support making that change. What could be done with that $151 if we did not make that change? That's something I'm not real clear on.
Yep. So just so I'm clear on your question, Alderman Model, when you say what could be done with the $151,100, if it's not proposed to be taken from fund balance and applied to the 2020 budget, I think the answer to your question is it would remain in fund balance for future needs within the city.
Okay.
If I understood your question.
Mm-hmm. Chewing on something. Follow thought? No? Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, other
Mark?
than restricting the amount of taxing, is there any benefit to taking that 151,000? I mean, we're talking 6 cents a thousand, I believe.
Is there any benefit to not taking it from people? I guess my opinion, if we have a use for it, then let's communicate it. If we don't have a use for it, then let's not take it. But again, I'm one guy.
Fix our roads?
Which road are you going to fix with the 151 grand? You got a plan? Let's bring her forward. Let's talk about it. Steve?
Thank you.
You know, I know I've brought this up before, and I talked to Jay about it, and I guess I'm still kind of stuck on a thing. I mean, I look at the 5-year plan, and the total estimated cost for 2020, we're supposed to be like 9.3 million, 2021, 11 million, 2022, 11 million. And I know we worked hard to get our debt down, and I understand all of that, but it just seems to me we keep pushing stuff down the road. And I know we ask the department heads to do their best to turn in a budget request that, how can I say this, is basically what they need without a lot of fluff. And from what I understand and from what I've seen in the years I was with the city, I know a lot of them do that. And it seems like every time they do that, we always have to go back and tell them, thanks, guys, you did a great job, but we need more. You know, some of these departments are doing a whole lot more work with a whole lot less people. And I'm not saying we got to go out and have a ton of people like we did before, but it just kind of seems we're getting to the point where we've hit the bottom and we're starting to dig.
Anybody else? John?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Steve and Mark also. If we have that money, and if it can go towards roads or move that capital projects, I know 151,000 probably is not a huge deal, but if we can get 3 or 4 or 5 major streets crack filled, that's just something that we don't have to worry about down the road to keep pushing it in back or deep further into capital projects and prevent probably a higher cost of repairs down the road. I know I talked to a couple people regarding that, and they had no problem with that slight tax increase. They'd rather see us give them something for their money than just keep it at, obviously they says they're pleased with no tax increase, they're happy with it, but they said it's beginning to be a point where we're starting to be upset with the conditions of the roads. The streets are just one of the number one big problem, and if we can do something regarding it, and I agree, I think our people have really done a fantastic job to keep the budget at a minimum, and I think we only can just squeeze so much blood from a tournament before all of a sudden we're going to be in trouble. So that's just my comment.
Thanks, John. Chris?
So I guess mine's a mix of all these opinions. I have shared it also with the mayor and Alderman Caston and Administrator Shambo. The first point about the transfer fund balance, if I'm correct, this is carryover dollars. These are dollars that we would have collected, well, we have collected already. So in my mind, using that to help balance the budget, I'm okay with that. Where I have had issue in the past in discussions and moving forward is I understand our drive to want to improve our roads and our infrastructure, and we're hoping by borrowing $1 million in debt obligation payments, we can throw it at that. But when we looked at it through the Transportation Committee, it's sad, but I don't know if $1 million really moves the needle enough to make a difference. If we're going to borrow those dollars, I would rather use it, as some of the aldermen have said, towards more capital improvement projects. I know that list is long and it keeps getting longer. I think we'd see more immediate and beneficial improvements if we focused on that and keep going the pace that we're going with roads. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Rich?
So I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable with the budget as it's laid out here. I've also spoken to a few people, some that have moved to Jackson, that have said that they're trying to get away from the high taxes of the city of West Bend. Now, I'm not at all saying that we're a highly taxed city, but at the same time, if that perception is out there, and if that's going to keep people from moving into the city of West Bend, that's obviously something that I'm going to take quite seriously. I agree that if we could use the 151 and it would be used to do something, that would be helpful to the roads. I'm not sure crack sealing is really going to address the problems that we have at the moment. So if we can continue to use that in the fund balance today, and as another grant opens up and we can take care of more of the roads, I think that might be better served.
Thanks, Rich. Mark?
You made reference to crack sealing. We had a recommendation from Doug, who happens to be back there if we want to ask him again, on the mastic version that they used for the repairs earlier this spring. to actually get a machine like that. And I believe the price was fairly reasonable. I don't remember the exact amount, but we pay the county now and get maybe a week or 2 weeks worth of use of their machine on a rental basis, along with paying for, I believe, a babysitter to come along with it. Why wouldn't we consider buying one of our own? I mean, I'm sure it's way less than $151,000. And it would seem that the repairs that have been made really have improved things where they've been done.
Yes,
I guess I would have to ask, Max, is that improving the Paisley rating by doing those crack sealing? Or is that just a temporary Band-Aid that's kind of a feel-good?
Thank you. Basically, I think we all know, and you guys have been saying that, all the efforts we make help. However, it is true that in order to keep the rating where we're at right now or improve it would require a more substantial effort on the funding of road repairs. So again, I tell Jay all the time, I'll take any help I can because that helps. Even if it might be a slight move of the needle on the grand scheme of things, but on the daily use, people see the difference, and I think the people who use those roads appreciate it.
Leslie? Go ahead, Mark.
Why do we appear to be managing to a Paisley number? Shouldn't we not try and get to 6.0 or better, but maybe try and get up to 7 or 8?
I think
it seems like
that's been the strategy, is to continue to move the needle in the better direction.
Yeah, but is it moving in the right direction now? We haven't had a report for a while, like over 2 years since the last time we had a Paisley number reported.
Yes, that's correct. The Paisley numbers are done every other year on the odd numbered years. That's when we have to report to the state, so we have to do this report. Usually we do it in the fall, so like October or November, and so we'll have the numbers pretty soon. We started compiling some of them, and but what I can tell you is I believe we're a little lower. We will be a little lower in 2019 than we were in 2017. I don't have the exact number in mind right now. And it's clear to me that in order to maintain that number, we will need to increase the efforts that we've been putting, which I believe is what is proposed in the budget. Now, we're also doing an analysis to see, again, with that increase, how well are we going to maintain that number or not. So we should have the result of those reports pretty soon.
How long have we been doing the Paisley ratings?
I believe it's been since the early 2000s. Before that, there was a different system called Paver rating. I think it switched to the Paisley in the early 2000s.
Generally, are we going up? Are we getting better or getting worse? We've got like almost 20 years worth of trend here, so 10 sets of numbers. Are we getting better or worse, or treading water?
I think that in the around 2010, we had started seeing a decline in our overall Paisley rating. And the city engineer at the time, Judy and I, had come to council, and offered some strategies to go back, increase the PASER rating again, and improve the general condition of the roads. That plan involved substantial spending. The city has done adjustment to the budget to allow that to happen. I went back to council, I came back to council, I believe in 2014-15 to present some results. We've been able to increase our PASER rating based on the repairs that we've done. We've done a lot of repairs to the higher rated roads, which helped a lot by spreading out dollars that we had as best as we could. Obviously, in order to fix the roads that are probably in the lower numbers, it would take more funds. So our strategy has worked so far. I think at some point we will have to consider probably more reconstructions, but right now I'm putting that report together that we talked about, and I think we'll know more in the coming weeks about where we're at and how well that strategy can project in the future.
Would you want to commute daily on a road that was rated 2 or 3?
Probably not.
So what do we tell our constituents who daily drive on roads that are 2s and 3s?
I'm not sure how Max can answer that question, Mark. We just had a referendum asking the citizens what they felt about roads. And so I think what we're talking about tonight is more of a philosophical belief than it is this 150 grand going to make a difference in the roads? Put some stuff in a historical perspective here. Just a handful of years ago, we were borrowing $1.5 million, $1 million that went to roads. And we did it to fix an overburdened amount of debt that we had. This year, we've doubled that to $2 million for roads and $1 million in other capital expenditures. So I think we're recognizing that this is an issue. We're recognizing that we were in some dire straits, and that's not an exaggeration to say. We've righted the ship. We are listening to the constituents and sticking more money than in recent history into roads. We're accomplishing some major projects last year, this year, and the next couple of years going forward. I don't doubt that more funding is needed, but the 150 grand, lobbing in last minute, are we going to buy some piece of equipment? My guess is that should probably work through the Public Works Department or Public Works Committee. If we think there's a piece of equipment that can help us save some money and repair more roads, we're all ears. I don't think anybody can legitimately look at this council and say the 6 cents one way or another is overtaxing. I think it's a philosophical difference to look at, and you're exactly right, Steve. We've got a capital projects list that's 8, 9, 10, 11 million bucks. We're the $1.5 million that we were borrowing, $1 million went to roads. Basically, the other two $500,000 chunks for 2 years in a row went to buy a fire truck. We had virtually nothing for other capital projects. This year we got $2 million alone in roads and $1 million bucks in capital projects. We're recognizing the issue. I think we're investing appropriately, and if we're going to change taxes, let's make sure that it makes an impact. Not grab 150 grand that we've already taxed people for and just hope that we're going to find a good home for it. That's my opinion. Let's have there's a debate out there, and I've been approached by the same individual multiple times that says we shouldn't even borrow for capital expenditure, that we should raise the taxes and pay cash for all that. That's a heck of a good argument. It just takes a lot of doing and a lot of thinking and a lot of know-how, which means over time we're down to no debt. It just is going to take some pretty challenging discussion. So I think it's a lively debate. I fully get it. No, you don't want to drive on a road that's a PASER rating of 2. We're picking off the roads the best we can. And I would say that no amount of money is going to allow us to fix all of those roads, or no amount of money that we could get our hands on is going to allow that, nor it's a citizenry asking for that. So I think we're talking philosophically, 6 cents one way or another, versus really what is that all about. And happy to take more questions or comments or take a motion on the budget later.
Motion and debate.
Do we need a motion to end debate?
Or discussion.
Okay. If you'd like to make a motion to approve or deny what Jay put in front of you, in front of us, go for it.
Motion to deny and put it back the way it was.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to paraphrase, to add the 6 cents back to the budget.
Correct.
That 150 grand then would, the way the budget was.
Point of order.
Sure.
Wouldn't this have to go to the finance committee? This is the first time it's come to the council as a whole. It's only been in the finance committee to this point.
Right, the council made a recommendation, I believe. Ian, correct me if I'm wrong. Wait.
Finance directed it to a public hearing. So right now, all you're doing is putting it out for a public hearing. So essentially,
actually approving it,
finance committee's purpose or role in it is terminated, and now it goes to council.
And then there'll be a public hearing on the 11th. Okay. So really what we're doing is recommending this go back, and just to clarify so I get it, if we add the 6 cents back in, those dollars really were in the fund balance account, and we go back to the fund balance account. Is it?
Correct.
Okay, got it. A motion has been made and seconded. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
We take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Butchlick?
Aye.
Alderman Allen?
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier?
No.
Alderman Jenkins?
No.
Alderman Caston?
No.
Alderman Hoogaster?
Aye.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Alderman Model?
Aye.
Alderman Kist?
No.
A motion is tied.
Okay. Well, this isn't chickens or deer or any other fun stuff that I had to break a tie on. This is exciting. Ian, if I vote no, then the motion fails, and then we entertain another motion?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to vote no and see what the other motion would be. Because right now, just so I understand, we're trying to give direction to staff as to what paperwork, what documents will be part of the public hearing in a couple weeks.
To be specific, what we publish in the.
Correct. This is the publication notice for the public hearing.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
No. Aye. Or no.
I know, whatever, yeah.
Let's take a roll call vote.
Explain a yes and a no vote.
Huh?
Explain
Yes.
it.
Yes vote is to publish the notice as presented today with the fund balance transfer to the budget. No is to essentially disapprove of this public notice.
Is that how everybody understood? So a yes vote was yes to this, what is on the screen.
Alderman Butchlick?
No.
Alderman Allen?
No.
Alderman Chevalier?
Yes.
Alderman Jenkins?
Yes.
Alderman Caston?
Yes.
Alderman Hoogaster?
No.
Alderman Model?
No.
Alderman Kist?
No.
So it fails 5-3.
Yes.
Okay, so, Captain, my captain.
Do we need to approve the notice?
Well, staff needs to know what to publish, so that.
Correct.
Can we just-
Finance directed that the previous notice go.
Can we clarify just what went down?
Yes.
Roger, you voted no to both options. Is there a third option that you'd like to see? Maybe that's the,
Me? No.
okay, then continue.
So there was direction from finance to publish the public notice as previous. They directed it to public hearing as presented at the finance committee.
No, I would say that finance committee directed staff to get to the 779.
Okay.
Right.
Right, the
So,
date was
so this would be as directed by finance then?
779 would be.
Yes. Okay, so this number would be as directed by finance This was, I mean, typically, we don't have this notice come to council.
Typically, it goes right from
It
finance.
goes finance to publication, and then council's crack at it is after the public hearing.
So the council will have another kick of the cat in a
Correct.
couple weeks.
Correct. So in the absence of any action, this is what would be published at the direction of finance. All this is the public hearing notice.
That makes sense to everyone? And the council still can?
Yes. And all this is the public hearing notice that's directing it. Council can amend that at the public hearing. Again, the council has the final say on the 11th.
Okay. And there's no other action?
Correct. There is no action needed to this. This was what was directed by Finance Committee, so.
Okay. Everybody cool with that?
You were directed to change things by the Finance Committee?
Correct.
Do a supposed consensus? So I think, I'm still confused, I'm
So,
sorry.
so the changes that were directed by Finance Committee are what is reflected here.
Correct.
So this is the public hearing notice that Finance Committee directed to be published. So basically, the original one that was presented, they were directed to amend with this fund balance transfer to eliminate the 6 cents increase.
Yeah.
So Finance Committee is the one who directs the publication of the notice. This was just put on as a discussion piece to, see if there was the will to change it, given that both motions failed in their.
So we're foregoing everything that just happened?
So in the default, without any action one way or the other, this is what would be published because it was at the direction of finance.
Unless, A, we can change it at the next meeting, and B,
Correct.
someone else can make another motion right
Again,
now.
yes, this is just a public hearing notice. This doesn't bind the city to anything. This just gives notice that this is what is being presented as the budget. Council, I mean, that's the purpose of a public hearing, is to hear input from the citizenry. If there's a change that needs to happen at that point, it can be made, so this doesn't bind you to anything.
Okay.
Got it. Clear as mud? Okay. Item number 17 is announcing the program honoring veterans on Monday, November 4th, 2019. Our annual festivities this year are at the West Bend High School Silver Lining Auditorium, starting at 6 o'clock p.m. on Monday the 4th. Awesome event. Any veteran needing transportation to and from the event, please jot this number down and give a call, 262-335-5123. Any veterans needing a ride to and from the Silver Lining Auditorium, 335-5123. We'll do item number 18, and then 19 right behind it. 18 is entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to state statute section 19.85, parent 1, parent C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and this is the evaluation of the city administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Stephanie, could we do a roll call, please?
Alderman Butchlick.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
Alderman Jenkins.
Aye.
Alderman Caston.
Aye.
Alderman Hoogaster.
Aye.
Alderman Model.
Aye.
Alderman Kist.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And item number 19, entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to state statute section 19.85, parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, a real estate purchase agreement.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Stephanie, roll call again, please.
Alderman Butchlick.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier. Alderman Jenkins.
Aye.
Alderman Caston.
Aye.
Alderman Hoogaster.
Aye.
Alderman Model.
Aye.
Alderman Kist.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We're in close, and we will be back out in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We are now back in open session and moving to item number 20, real estate purchase agreement.
Right, so looking for a motion to counter the real estate purchase agreement submitted with the following terms, to specify a 6% broker fee, to limit the agreement to the use that was proposed, to have a 3-month site plan submission deadline, and a 6-month closing deadline.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 21 is a report by Alderman Jenkins regarding the library board meeting.
All right. I'll give you a second if you want, Steph. Sure. We had a good library board meeting. This was after the Common Council had met and talked with our library director and library board president. So we went back to the drawing table on some budget items. What ended up being presented were 2 budget options, one that just cut a little bit of everything and one that just emphasized on materials. Seeing this and having the tenure that I do at the library board, I took it upon myself to really dig into our financials and the reports that we get monthly and compare it to the budget that we're currently at. And what ended up happening is I made a recommendation, kind of similar to what we were doing here at the city level, to look at carryover from this year to help fund next year. So in the end, it ended up being at most possibly $50,000 that we're saving this year between payroll changes, utilities, and things like that. That potentially after the audit in April, we can then use towards something else. So we ended up approving the option B, which just cut materials, but then after the April audit, we should hopefully, with undesignated funds that we'll have, be able to replenish it as well. So that was a nice way to make everything whole and continue running the library in line with the strategic priorities and goals that we had set. So that was the fun part, and then we did, got into our library director's review. That's it.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions for Chris? We're in the library board. Last item on tonight's agenda, item number 22, is mayor announcement and discussion. I'll make an announcement and see if you guys have any discussion. So give me a couple of minutes to run through an item or two here. Today I turned in a disclosure of non-candidacy to the city clerk's office. I won't be running for re-election in 2020. In general, I'm a supporter of term limits at all levels of government, and I believe a founding principle of our nation is that those with the ability should run for office, try to make a positive difference, and then step aside and be critiqued by the next group of citizen servants. So it's time for me to get critiqued. I'm proud to have been mayor of West Bend for 3 terms, and I will certainly look back at the time invested serving my hometown with pride. As citizens of West Bend, I think we've got a lot to be excited for. Our downtown is thriving through many changes, such as the expanding role that MOA is playing, a new investment into the historic theater, a revitalized riverfront, and private development in the TIF district and on Main Street. During my tenure, we have seen development in all corners of the city, including the recruitment of Delta Defense to West Bend, Epic Creative relocating to the downtown area, Spalding Clinical's growth, the development of a new Southside Industrial Park, and even Fleet Farm is nearing completion on a new facility. Since first being elected mayor in April of 2011, I am proud to have played a role in reaching several critical goals. I look back at my initial campaign promises from 2011 and found them to be communication, vision, and value. And I think together we knocked it out of the park. We hit home runs in all areas. From a communication standpoint, we have more citizen volunteers than ever. We have public positions on the Finance and Public Works committees. We organized citizen-run task forces, including the Value Task Force. And our budget process, I wrote this before tonight, is easy to understand and transparent. Our vision in West Bend is laser focused, I'd say. We know which major roads will be tackled in the next 2 to 5 years. The West Side Riverfront will be redeveloped. Our downtown will continue to be a focus, and the Southside Industrial Park will be under construction in 2020. I challenge any community to beat West Bend from a value perspective. Since 2011, we've cut debt almost in half. We've increased our reserve accounts by 300%. We've increased investment into road maintenance, all while seeing the real cost to operate the city drop by about 2.5% when comparing 2019 to 2011. We asked some tough questions, we made tough decisions, and as a community, we're now able to reap the benefits of a smaller and more efficient government. Together, we've accomplished a great deal. However, there are still areas where work needs to be done, and one of those areas is the land known as the former Gale headquarter property downtown. This brownfield has been owned by the city since I believe it was the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. Mark, you might know, somewhere around there.
Early 2000s.
So we're pushing 20 years, 15 to 20 years or so. Twice during my tenure as mayor, and many of you, we've had developers interested enough in that property to actually have it under legal control. Both times, the main focus of that development was to be multifamily, and unfortunately, neither of these projects ever got off the ground, and at their own choosing, the developers discontinued their interest in the land. There is, I think as you all know in the audience here, know that there is a new development proposed for this parcel, which I personally recruited to West Bend. I know the developers well, as my business has worked for them for more than 15 years. The council is aware of this, the city administrator is aware of this, and the city attorney is aware of this. As a citizen of West Bend, I would really like to see the project take shape, as I believe it's a great win for our downtown. A Town Place Suites Hotel by Marriott, as well as a professional office building, will really help increase tourism, along with the added benefit of additional employees working in that area on a daily basis. My sense, though, is that in order for this development to move forward, I'm going to need to get behind it in an active and personal way. And this is something that I can't do while maintaining my role as your mayor. As West Bend knows, in addition to my service life, I own and operate local architectural and construction management firms here in West Bend. With the guidance of city administrators and city attorneys over the past 8+ years, as well as multiple personal legal advisors, I've worked hard to ensure that I ethically and transparently serve my constituents, employees, my customers, and my family. During my time in office, I have fully and publicly communicated potential conflicts as they arise at both the City Council and Plan Commission levels. I've received legal opinions just within the last week and advice from multiple local law firms on how to remain mayor while also personally being involved in the Gale site project. None of the opinions are crystal clear. None of the opinions pass my personal gut check test. Therefore, after consultation with the city attorney and my own legal advisors, I've decided to step down as your mayor, effective this evening, to avoid the appearance of any conflicts of interest and move forward personally with getting behind this project and hopefully help it take place. The municipal approval project will take place after my resignation, without me as a council member and without me having any public authority. I cannot and will not jeopardize the reputation or character of myself, my business, or the mayor's office by proceeding with even a hint of ambiguity. I'd like to thank the citizens that elected and trust me. I'd like to thank the staff that I've come to respect, and I'd like to thank my aldermen, current and past aldermen that I've had the pleasure to serve with. While I'm disappointed to be resigning, I do look forward to returning to the private sector full-time and to potentially serving in another public capacity in the future. I will resign my position as of the time that I exit this room this evening, October 21st, 2019, or I put 11 o'clock p.m., whichever is earlier, so hopefully we're not talking for the next 3 hours. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I did meet with Council President Hoogaster and Jay on Friday. I think between those two and Ian, they've got some ideas on council's choices and options moving forward. But if anybody has any questions for me, I'd be happy to try and answer them. Otherwise, I will exit the council chambers for my last time as mayor.
Wow. Didn't see that coming right now. I appreciate that. I know that we don't agree on everything, but I appreciate the time we've had together.
Appreciate it, Justice. Not looking for pats on the back if anybody's got a.
Great. It's been 6 years since I've been under you, and I want to tell you it's been a joy. Thank you very much. I learned an awful lot. You definitely have taught me an awful lot. Hate to see you go, but good luck in your new fate.
Thanks, John. Hopefully you can tell it, I'd say it's a difficult decision. It's not that difficult when you look at doing something that may or may not be ethical and legal versus doing something that is ethical and legal. So I'm not gonna say it was a tough decision. It was easy if those are the two choices. I was hoping there was some middle ground, but the middle ground is gray, and like I mentioned, I don't want to live in the gray. This is a black and white decision, and this is a pretty cool project for West Bend, and I'm certainly not gonna taint this office or the city or the project by trying to serve two masters. Mark?
I too would like to thank you for your service to the city. Wish you well with your future ventures. As we used to say, fair winds and following seas.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies. Good night. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, it's you.
Would you?
No.
Damn.
God, no. God, no. I wonder what they have to say, though. So, come on. So now what?
I believe Mr. Hoogaster is now in charge.
Yeah. Did we adjourn? I don't think we formally adjourned.
Yeah, we're still in discussion. I don't think we've adjourned.
We didn't formally adjourn. So process-wise, by statute, the council appoints a interim mayor that will serve until the next election. The mayor would be up for election, so there's no need for a special election. And with the timing, there will be a appointment process. It could be council president, could be an alderperson, or some other methodology for selecting somebody. I think Stephanie was looking to try and potentially have a special meeting over the next 2 weeks with the hopes of taking action on this either at that special meeting or on the 11th, so that we can keep things moving with the budget process and such. So,
Ian, is there any requirements for public notice of what we choose to
the
do?
council fully determines the process themselves.
Okay.
You have to notice the agenda as usual, but other than that, no.
We do have a meeting on the 4th before the 11th as well that we could meet at in advance of the celebration with the veterans at 6 o'clock, or we could have a special meeting. So I think what Ian shared is the conversation that Steve and I'll have soon, and expect a reach out from Stephanie as to your availability if a special meeting is pursued before the 4th.
The only problem I'm gonna have is I'm gonna be out of town from this Thursday until November 3rd. So it would have to be the week between the 4th and the 11th.
So if that's the case, maybe we should just stick with the 4th. If that's consensus of the group, that's fine with us. We could meet
a meeting at 5:30 prior to the
we'll
veterans.
A little sooner before that.
About 5 o'clock. Is that doable?
What? Doing what now?
To meet at 5 o'clock here prior to the veterans.
Okay.
Meeting. I see
That's fine.
nods from almost everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So we will notice a public meeting or a meeting, special meeting for this at 5 PM on the 4th. in council chambers, and then wrap that up hopefully half hour or so everybody can get to the veterans. All right?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Steve, declare the meeting adjourned?
Yeah,
or how does that-
so you can adjourn the meeting, Steve, as council president.
Anybody have any more comments, questions, announcements? If not,
Harvest Moon Celebration at Loch Larawn Barn, 4 to 10 this coming Saturday. Food, dancing, fun, face painting, pumpkins, caramel apples.
What could go wrong?
Good stuff. What
And
could go
liquor.
wrong? Yeah,
don't think?
for you, yes.
I'll be in North Dakota, sorry.
You have a temporary liquor license. What could go wrong?
Right, right, exactly. Bluegrass, sorry.
Anybody else?
Just a quick mention, the meeting of the Common Sense Citizens of Washington County, Thursday at the Moose Lodge over on 18th and Chestnut, is giving the first public presentation of the school district plan the mayor worked on.
Nothing else? Good night, everybody.
This is interesting.